Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I'm back with another great show just for you. It's Anne Erickson. You're on Audio Inc. Radio, and you already know, or at least if you rock out with me on a regular basis, you know that I'm a big fan of metal music, all things metal music. And I really appreciate a great voice. I mean, a great front man or front woman who has just a trained, amazing, powerful metal voice. Some of my favorite metal vocalists are Rob Halford of Judas Priest, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, and the one and only Ronnie James Dio, which I never got to see Dio live, which was a huge just bummer. But I admit I got into rock and metal music when it was a little bit too late to see him live. So that's kind of what happened. But hey, at least he left so many amazing recordings for us. And another voice in metal music, specifically progressive metal music, that I think is just so difficult to beat and pretty much impossible to beat. Geoff Tate, the former vocalist from Queensryche, which if you've heard Queensryche's early stuff, and I mean the majority of their catalog, I mean, Geoff is on there and he sounds incredible. He has just such a powerful, grand, massive voice. I don't know how else to put it. I feel like he almost sounds like a biblical character. I know that sounds so funny, but I feel like he just sounds like if there were to be a musical version of the Bible, which there kind of is in Jesus Christ Superstar, which I love. But I mean, if there was a musical version of the Old Testament, Geoff Tate would be the voice of God, right? Because his voice literally is so just amazing and powerful and all of that. And he's done so many different musical projects over the years. And no matter what he does, he always takes on a different character and he always nails it every single time. But the project that we're going to focus on today is Sweet Oblivion, featuring, of course, Geoff Tate, and their new record, Relentless, is out on April 9th. This record is so killer. What I love about Sweet Oblivion is it kind of brings him back to those roots that he had in Queensryche. It's that same kind of really strong progressive metal music, and it just is a familiar sound from Geoff that he can rock like no one else can rock. So I really love that part of Relentless and pretty much everything he's done with Sweet Oblivion. Relentless is their sophomore record, and he tells me during the interview that there is definitely at least one more in the works, which is really cool. But one thing that's extra awesome about this record is he actually has a track that's all in Italian. And I want to ask him about that because I think it's just really cool to have a track in a different language. I don't get that much on releases that I get in my inbox and that sort of thing. Usually everything is in English, but just one song, Aria, is in Italian and it sounds amazing as you would expect. We're also going to talk just a bit about Queensryche because obviously that band was so paramount and just so, they're one of the founding fathers of progressive metal music. I mean, they kind of even are the big founding father along with, I mean, there are other bands like Dream Theater, but I just feel like Queensryche was the one that started it all. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about his time with Queensryche and what were some of his favorite records that he recorded with them and his favorite moments with Queensryche. So very cool to have metal royalty on the show. And I'm going to get into that in just a bit. But first, just a reminder that if for some reason you haven't subscribed to Audio Inc. Radio yet, what are you waiting for? I promise I don't bite. You can find us wherever you rock out to podcast. Just search Audio Inc. Radio or search my name, Anne Erickson, wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe, and it's that easy. Just hit that subscribe button and bam, you will be in the know on all of our latest episodes. And as you know, I've been packing the show with the biggest names in rock and metal music, which is very exciting. And I promise to have more great names on the show and more fun topics, because sometimes we just go off the cuff and talk about a different musical topic. A few shows ago, I actually did the best underrated Metallica tracks of all time. And it was really cool because it started a discussion about what are those Metallica tracks that you never hear on the radio that are just so good. So check that out if you haven't yet, just a few podcasts back. And I'm going to do more kind of fun, just topical podcast. Also, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube yet, go ahead and do that. We definitely appreciate it. youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. And finally, if you want to link up with me, please do. I promise I'm very nice. I love to hear from you if you have an idea for the show or just want to say hey, just want to kick back and talk about music. Hit me up on Facebook at the site itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on my personal Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Anne, and also check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com for female-led metal music, because as I mentioned earlier on the show, I'm a big fan of metal music and I even make my own. So check that out. All right, without further ado, let's get into it with Geoff Tate.
Hi, this is Geoff Tate, and you're listening to Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio.
Well, it's great to talk with you, and congrats on the new album on the way with Sweet Oblivion, Relentless. Tell me about the Sweet Oblivion project and kind of what attracted you to it and what made you want to get involved.
Well, it was, I spent 30 plus years working with the same people, and when I was in Queensryche, and when that ended, I was in the midst of working with Frontier Records out of Italy, and I was talking to them about my progress towards the future, and I really wanted to work with different people, have different collaborative situations, and I said, hey, if you guys think of anything or you know of anybody that's interested, steer me in that direction. I'd be interested in hearing what the situation was all about. And they came up with the Sweet Oblivion idea, which is basically working with different groups of people, working with different producers for each project. And the first project we did, of course, is different than the second one, which we're about to release. And then I think there's a third one in the works as well, which I have no idea what that's going to be like yet. So that's real exciting for me. But I like the idea of the basic concept of working with different producers and different musicians in a collaborative effort.
Well, one track that I really love off the new release is the one that you did in Italian, Aria. And I think it's so heavy but beautiful and just really different. So tell me about the genesis of that song.
Well, so much of my life is revolving around Italy, it seems. Two of my guitar players that I work with regularly that tour with me are Italian. I rehearse in Italy quite a bit. The record company Frontiers is based in Italy. The musicians and producer on this record are Italian. My wife and I started this kind of side business called Backstage Pass Travel, where we take groups of people sightseeing and around different parts of the world, different countries, and also in America. But one of the major places we go to is Italy. So I have a lot of Italian influences, and I thought, why don't we just do a song in Italian, for gosh sakes? And Aldo said, why on earth would you want to do this? And I gave him all those reasons, and he made an agreement with me. He said, look, if you can sing it and I can understand what you're saying, then we should put it on the record. So I got the 2 thumbs up, so I must have done something right.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite track on the new release?
No, not really. No, I'm pretty happy with the whole record. It was truly a joy to make. Nowadays, the world is our virtual studio, right? And everything is record it, at home in different studios around the world, and then we put the record together in the virtual studio, So it's a wonderful way of working that I really enjoy. And, for example, Aldo was in, I think, Milan, working there, and I'm in Ireland working there, and we were back and forth sharing, performances and different recording takes and, putting the album together that way. So it works really well, and I was very happy with the outcome.
How much of the writing of the record was influenced by the experience of the past year and the pandemic, if any of it?
I think I'll Be the One is one song that's very influenced by the pandemic and the effect that the pandemic has had on individuals and couples and families. And I guess the spirit of the album really is has a lot to do with the pandemic, since I was on lockdown making the record, and basically couldn't travel but 5 kilometers away from the house, every day to, it was against the law because of the lockdown. So it was really a matter of staying inside and reflecting,
Do you feel like having this record to work on in your music in general kind of has helped you through this crazy period?
Yeah, because I'm a traveling musician. Although I release records and I've been pretty consistent about that, I spent a lot of time away from home. Like 2019, I believe I was home 23 days in my own house. So yeah, it forces you to do other things, and I feel pretty good. Over the last year, I've been very productive. I've finished one record. I have 3 other records in the works in various states of completion. I sold one of my homes and downsized, and bought another house and downsized again, and pretty much got my life in order. Because over the years, I've just been kind of putting stuff off, in hopes that I'll have some time in the future to take care of things. Like I think I had 4 storage warehouses full of stuff. I just kept cramming stuff in there and, gonna get to it one day. And so this was the year I finally got to it all and cleared all that stuff out and got down to half of one now. So I feel good about that.
You're better than me, because I have a bunch of stuff also kind of in storage in the basement. I'm just like, it sits there. I still haven't gotten to it even this past year. So
Oh, it's time.
I know. It'll feel good once I finally do. So you're considered one of the greatest voices in progressive metal. And what do you think makes a legendary vocalist in metal? Is it the voice, the stage show, charisma, the style? What do you think it is?
I have no clue. I have no idea. Those are other people's opinions, and everybody has them. So I have no idea what they mean or what they expect or anything. I just I do what I do, and I do enjoy doing it, I have to say. I love my job, and I love traveling around and performing for audiences, and I love the one-on-one with people and the meeting up with different fans and talking music. And I have my own wine brand, Insania, and there's a lot of talk about that when we get together with fans, and then of course we do the backstage fast travel thing where we take fans and other people traveling, and that's a really great time. It's a lot funner than I ever thought it would be.
So going back to Relentless, what do you hope fans take away from the release?
I haven't really thought about that. I don't really have expectations, really. Honestly, writing records and especially writing songs and putting records out, it's an entirely selfish endeavor. Absolutely. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Really. It's something that I'm driven to do and feel I must do. And so I do that. And I guess some people like it, some people don't. It's really out of your control. As an artist, you do what you do, and people either are interested in it or they're not, you know.
When live music is finally back, do you think it's going to go back to how it was with people being close to each other and like moshing and stuff like that? Or do you think that it's going to be kind of different going forward with everything that we've been through?
Well, I hope it returns to the normal that we all knew. I really do. Although over the last year, I've done a few live shows in different places that have opened up. Recently in December in Florida, I did a show that was very well attended, but of course the rules are that you couldn't sell the whole thing, you know, it's half capacity, so people were really spread out, and that didn't seem to, you know, deter people's enthusiasm for being there or for how they would, you know, experience the music. I wouldn't have known that there was a pandemic in place, really, by people's reactions, you know. It was all very enthusiastic. People had a great time. I had a great time. And then I've done a couple other shows, a couple of them in New Hampshire, and we had to spread out 2 shows over 3 days, I think, where we sold, I did 2 shows in one day because we had to spread them out so thinly. You know, the audience had to spread out so thin. That was kind of strange, but cool and fun. And then I did a show in the Seattle area here, right around Valentine's Day, that again was, you know, 25% capacity and but very enthusiastic audiences. So I think when it all comes back, I think people are just going to be back at it and experiencing live music and having a good time, and it's going to be, it might not be the old normal, it might be a new normal that we aspire to, but I think it's going to be back to a state of people being in the presence of each other. Absolutely.
I look forward to that. And do you have any guess as to whether, like, this summer you think any of these festivals or anything will happen? It's so hard to say because I see some bands canceling their summer tours right now and other bands actually announcing summer tours right now. So
yeah, I think it's different everywhere you go, you know, especially country by country. And I think in terms of internationally, because that's where I go. I tour in there are 36 different countries around the world, and they all have different rules and different, you know, ways they're setting up and dealing with the pandemic. So right now, I know that we are going to be in the UK in July, August for touring, and then back in the States in the fall. The fall looks very strong in the United States, and all of these shows are going to be at varying different capacities too, I think. I don't believe there's going to be any big festivals this year. I think they're all going to wait till next summer, you know, the bigger festivals, I think.
yeah, that's the sense I get as well. It's just a little bit, you know, too soon. But that's great that you're going to be getting out there because Americans haven't been allowed to even go abroad. So that's hopeful that, you know, it sounds like you might be able to tour out there and stuff at some point.
Yeah, I think that's been a major factor in controlling the pandemic too. I think it's a good thing that they limited travel and kind of keeping people in one place, you know, so they could get a handle on it. And finally, all the vaccines are going out now, so the more people vaccinated, the better off we're all going to be.
Yes, I know. I'm waiting for mine anxiously. April 5th, it opens up in Michigan for all ages, so I'm like waiting. It'll probably take a lot longer to get it, but
that's exciting. I'll tell you, I was scheduled to get mine in February because of my age, you know. I was in line to get it, had my appointment and everything ready to go, and a couple days before my appointment, we got a massive snowstorm here, and everything got delayed, and they canceled my appointment.
oh man.
Yeah, so it's, oh my God, so I have another appointment, and it's this week actually, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I had some friends have theirs canceled for different reasons, and they were just same thing. They were so ready, you know, and then suddenly, bam, we have to delay it. So, well,
yeah, it's a strange feeling because you know, it's actually, for me at least, I've never been vaccinated since I was a child, right? Mm-hmm. And even as a child, I had very limited vaccination. So I've never been a real believer in, you know, vaccinations. I believe in your body, you know, healing itself and creating a strong immune system, right? So getting this vaccine, I had to kind of do a lot of soul searching and thinking a lot about it. And I came to terms with it and accepted it, made the appointment, only to have it canceled.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, is this like some kind of sign? You know?
Right. Oh my gosh. No, I haven't had one since I was a kid either. I had all the usuals back then, but I never got a flu or, any of those kind of vaccines. So
Right.
yeah, I'm sure I'll have to take a milkshake or something like that to distract me when the needle comes at me.
A milkshake?
Oh, I know. It sounds weird, but for me, for some reason, it works for blood work and stuff.
I wish I had thought of that. I used to bring a milkshake with me and see if they'll allow me to bring it in when they give me one.
Right. Maybe under your mask. I was thinking about that. I might have to. Works for me, so hopefully it'll work for you.
Good idea.
Yeah, so people got to know and love you in Queensryche, and I'm wondering, do you have a favorite Queensryche record, looking back, that holds a special place in your heart, and maybe a least favorite?
Well, I'm very proud of all the music that Queensryche made in my time with the band. I thought we really pushed a lot of boundaries with our music, and we're very progressive in our presentations. I have very special moments that I feel are special moments from my point of view of actually making the records. The Promised Land album that we made in 94, 93, came out in 94, was very special to me because of the way we did it. Living on a remote island and building our own studio, and that was an incredible experience, I thought. Working on the Warning album in London and living there for a year making the record and working all the high-end studios in the city and being involved with the music scene at that time was incredibly excited. And the last album I made with Queensryche, Dedicated to Chaos, was one of my favorite sounding records, and a record I feel really proud of because everybody in the band was contributing to that record. It was really a band effort. One of the first band efforts, first and only band effort we ever had. So I felt really great about that too. But yeah, there's high moments I feel, special moments I feel for almost all the records really, because I think as a writer, as a musician, you have with each record is a success, because you started with nothing and you made something, at the end of the day, and that's a wonderful feeling.
So how crucial do you think Queensryche was to kind of influencing and pioneering the whole progressive metal genre? Because you guys were really obviously like one of the big kingpins.
Well, I'll put it this way. There wasn't a progressive metal genre before us. How about that?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. I'm kind of against genres. I've never been a fan of genreification or putting artists' music into little boxes. It really has only one purpose, and that's to sell it,
Mm-hmm.
And the danger of putting a band or an artist in a box like that is that fans get expectations based upon that little box. And oftentimes, if you step outside that box or put your toe outside that box, you get massively criticized, and it's not accepted, because that's not progressive metal, or that's not metal, or that's not hip-hop. But, everybody puts their limitations on what the art can be, and that's a dangerous precedent that gets set. It's a dangerous attitude when you start limiting the thinking, or trying to limit the thinking of people. And that's where you get into, fascism and ultimately monarchies and that kind of thing.
So what is next for you the rest of the year? You mentioned the records that you can't really talk about, but what else do we have to look forward from you?
Well, lots of touring. Yeah, I am booked solid up till past Christmas. I think I'm into 2020, into 22 now. I'm booked up till, so I'm going to be on the road, coming to a town near you.
Awesome. Well, we cannot wait because it's been a long time. I don't think we've had any live music hardly here, in Michigan, except for cover band and stuff like that. But, well, thank you. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, I think you've been really thorough, Anne. Thank you for the interview and for the time. I appreciate being on your radio, and on your magazine, and thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I hope that everything goes well with the vaccine.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that milkshake. It's a serious thing.
It's a good idea, believe me.
All right, take care.
There he is, Geoff Tate, talking about Sweet Oblivion. Their new record, Relentless, is out. Their sophomore record is out on April 9th. And it is a banger. It's a great set, just very majestic sounding music. And if you dig Queensryche and dig any of Geoff's stuff, especially the stuff where he just has those really powerful metal vocals, then I highly recommend that you check it out. But it was fun to talk with him about the whole milkshake thing, because it's a long story, but I kind of passed out once when I was getting my blood taken. There were a lot of factors that went into this, and I didn't fully pass out. That was a scary thing. I half passed out, and it was really scary. And so ever since then, I always get worried when I have to go get poked for any given reason. And the last person who I went and got poked from, she was genius, because I told her about my history and that sort of thing, about how I had kind of half passed out once, and she got me some juice. And as she took my blood, I looked the other way and I drank juice. And I'm telling you, it totally confused my mind and made my mind not even realize anything was going on. I was just focused on the juice and the wonderful flavor and drinking juice. It worked like a charm. It's amazing. So if you have an issue like that, I highly recommend it. I'm going to do a milkshake this time when I'm getting my vaccine, because I love milkshakes, and I figure if the juice worked, I'm not even a big juice fan, a milkshake will even do a better job to distract me. So I'm glad I could share that little tidbit of knowledge with Geoff and with you, just in case you ever are getting poked or in a situation like that and you need to be distracted. I'm telling you, it works like a charm. I'm Anne Erickson. You're on Audio Inc. Radio, and dude, you rock. It is so fun to have you here. I always have a great time. It's like a big rock and metal party on the show every week. And I would love for you to subscribe. Please go ahead and subscribe right now on all the platforms, really, but wherever you most listen to podcasts, just search Audio Inc. Radio or search my name, Anne Erickson. Wherever you listen, you can find us pretty much on every podcast platform. But the big ones are Apple and Spotify. Those are the big ones, but we are on many different ones. Just hit subscribe and you'll be automatically notified the second there is a new show. And then you can check it out. We can rock out together just right when I post it. It can be that easy and that quick. Also, please subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. That's INK like Tattoo Inc. youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. And don't be shy. I would love to hear from you on social media. If you have an idea for a guest, I'm always looking for a cool new guest for the show, or just want to chat, just want to say, hey, hit me up on Facebook. Head to the site, itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com. And you can find that link to link up on my personal Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Anne. And just go ahead and do it. We can be friends. We're already friends as far as I'm concerned, but we can be friends online. And finally, check out my band, Upon Wings, at uponwings.com if you like female-led metal or rock music, or just do it to be nice. Just check it out for whatever reason. Lots of great shows lined up for you. We're going to be rocking out together all year long. And once again, thank you very much for being part of this show. Thank you for being part of my life. It is great to have you here on the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.